Picture yourself standing on the weathered deck of a wooden vessel, surrounded by an endless expanse of uncharted waters stretching to the horizon in every direction. The creaking timbers beneath your feet are all that separate you from the bottomless depths of an ocean no European has ever crossed. There's no way to call for help, no satellite navigation to guide your path, no maps showing what lies ahead. Your only tools are the stars above, primitive instruments, and an unwavering faith that somewhere beyond that infinite blue lies your destination. The taste of salt clings to your lips as you scan the horizon, knowing that with each passing day, your supplies dwindle and your crew's morale sinks lower. Each sunrise brings new dangers, violent storms that could splinter your ship like kindling, diseases that can ravage your crew within days, or the growing specter of starvation that haunts every sailor's dreams. This isn't some tale conjured up by an imaginative storyteller. This was the raw, unvarnished reality faced by a Portuguese navigator and his crew at the dawn of the 16th century. In an age when most people believed sailing too far would mean plunging off the edge of the world, one man dared to prove that our planet could be circumnavigated. This is the story of Ferdinand Magellan, who embarked on what would become the most audacious and transformative maritime expedition in human history. His journey would not only challenge the geographical knowledge of his time, but would also test the very limits of human endurance and determination. 3 years of uncertainty lay ahead, where every league sailed would take them further into the unknown, with no guarantee of ever seeing their homes again. This is a tale of courage, ambition, and the relentless human drive to explore what lies beyond the horizon. The bustling port of Seville, Spain, in the late summer of 1519. The morning sun illuminates a scene of organized chaos as 5 ships rock gently in their moorings. The air is thick with the mingled scents of tar, rope, and salt water, while hundreds of voices echo across the harbor in a babble of Spanish, Portuguese, and Italian. Dock workers scurry back and forth, loading the final provisions onto the Trinidad, Magellan's flagship, and her sister vessels, the San Antonio, Concepcion, Victoria, and Santiago. These ships represent the finest maritime technology of their age, yet they appear almost fragile against the backdrop of the vast unknown they are about to challenge. Standing on the weather-worn dock, Ferdinand Magellan cuts an imposing figure despite his medium stature. His weathered face and calloused hands tell the story of a man who has already spent decades at sea. His dark eyes scan the horizon as he utters words that would echo through centuries. "We shall find a way, or we shall make one." This bold declaration, spoken moments before embarking on the most ambitious maritime expedition ever attempted, encapsulates the very essence of the age of discovery. It's not merely a statement of determination, it's a declaration of humanity's relentless drive to push beyond known boundaries. The atmosphere is electric with anticipation and uncertainty. Some onlookers believe they're witnessing the departure of doomed men, while others sense they're present for a pivotal moment in human history. The crew of 237 men, drawn from across Europe, represent the finest sailors and navigators of their time, yet even they cannot fully comprehend the magnitude of what lies ahead. Their mission: to find a western route to the coveted Spice Islands, a journey that would ultimately transform humanity's understanding of our world. As the morning bells of Seville's cathedral toll in the distance, Magellan's small fleet prepares to cast off. These ships will either return with riches and glory, having circumnavigated the globe for the first time in human history, or disappear into the vast unknown, joining countless other failed expeditions. The weight of this moment, the culmination of years of planning, political maneuvering, and preparation, hangs heavy in the air. No one present could have imagined that this departure would mark the beginning of one of the most extraordinary adventures in human history, a journey that would prove, once and for all, that our world was indeed round, vast, and infinitely more complex than anyone had imagined. Ferdinand Magellan emerges from history as a complex figure shaped by both triumph and rejection. Born into minor Portuguese nobility in 1480, he had already lived several lifetimes' worth of adventures by the time he conceived his grand circumnavigation. At 38, his battle-scarred body and weathered face told the story of a man who had survived countless perils. Standing slightly below average height, what he lacked in physical stature, he more than made up for in force of personality and iron determination. During his formative years, serving in the Portuguese colonies in India and the East Indies, Magellan honed not only his navigation skills, but also his military prowess. The Indian campaigns taught him crucial lessons about survival in hostile territories and the vital importance of maintaining crew discipline under extreme conditions. His experiences fighting alongside and against various cultures gave him an unusual degree of diplomatic sophistication for his time, a skill that would prove invaluable during his later encounters with indigenous peoples. Perhaps the most defining moment in Magellan's character development came through bitter disappointment. After years of loyal service, he suffered the ultimate humiliation when King Manuel I of Portugal repeatedly rejected his proposals for an expedition to the Spice Islands. This rejection transformed Magellan from a loyal Portuguese subject into a man willing to offer his services to his country's greatest rival, Spain. His decision to approach King Charles V of Spain with his ambitious plan revealed both his desperate determination and his revolutionary vision. The secondary characters in this epic tale are equally fascinating. Juan Sebastián Elcano, who would eventually complete Magellan's vision, began the voyage as a mere ship's master. A Basque mariner with a checkered past, Elcano initially participated in a failed mutiny against Magellan before proving his worth and ultimately achieving immortal fame as the first captain to complete a full circumnavigation of the globe. The crew of 237 men represented a remarkable cross-section of Renaissance Europe. Among them were Italian aristocrats seeking adventure, hardened Spanish sailors, Portuguese navigators, Greek soldiers, and even enslaved individuals from various colonies. This diverse crew brought together different languages, cultures, and expertise, but also simmering tensions and conflicting loyalties that would repeatedly threaten to tear the expedition apart. The royal figures played crucial roles in shaping the expedition's destiny. King Charles V of Spain, barely 19 years old when he approved Magellan's plan, saw an opportunity to challenge Portuguese dominance of the spice trade. His youth and ambition contrasted sharply with the experienced but perhaps overly cautious King Manuel I of Portugal, whose rejection of Magellan would prove to be one of history's great missed opportunities. These monarchs' decisions and rivalries created the political backdrop against which this epic journey would unfold. Each of these characters brought their own dreams, fears, and motivations to the voyage. For Magellan, the expedition represented a chance for vindication, wealth, and immortal fame. For Elcano, it became an unexpected path to redemption and glory. For the crew, it offered the promise of riches, but also unimaginable hardships. And for the competing monarchs, it represented a high-stakes game of global power and economic dominance that would help shape the emerging modern world. Life aboard a 16th-century sailing vessel was an assault on all the senses, a constant reminder that you were trapped in a wooden world between sky and sea. The endless creaking of timber became the soundtrack of existence, a symphony of groans, squeaks, and protests as the ships battled against wind and wave. The constant slap of waves against the hull created a rhythmic backdrop, punctuated by the snap of canvas sails catching wind and the shouted commands echoing across the deck. In storms, these familiar sounds would transform into a terrifying cacophony of straining ropes, cracking wood, and the thunderous crash of waves breaking over the deck. The olfactory experience was equally intense. The pervasive smell of salt air mingled with the musty stench of perpetually damp wood below decks. In the hold, the acidic tang of gunpowder competed with the exotic aromas of trading goods and the pungent smell of slowly rotting food stores. Human odors were inescapable. The sweat of 237 men crammed into tight quarters, unwashed clothes, and the constant presence of seasickness and other ailments. The spice samples they carried created brief, tantalizingly sweet respites from the otherwise overwhelming sensory experience. Touch became a constant reminder of the harsh environment. Every surface on the ship possessed its own distinctive texture. The rough-hewn planks of the deck, smoothed by countless feet, but still splintering under the tropical sun, the always damp ropes that could shred unprotected hands, and the coarse fabric of clothing that never quite dried in the humid air. The constant motion of the ship meant that balance could only be maintained by keeping one hand on these surfaces at all times, creating an intimate familiarity with every inch of the vessel. Daily life aboard was a grueling test of endurance. The diet consisted primarily of ship's biscuit, rock-hard crackers that had to be soaked in liquid to be edible, often revealing weevils and other unwelcome protein sources. Salted beef and pork, when available, was so heavily preserved that it barely resembled meat. Water, stored in wooden casks, quickly became stagnant and had to be carefully rationed. Wine, when available, often provided safer hydration than the questionable water supplies. Fresh food was a distant memory for most of the voyage, leading to the inevitable onset of scurvy. Bleeding gums, loosening teeth, and wounds that wouldn't heal became common sights among the crew. The physical conditions aboard the ships were brutally challenging. Men slept in shifts, crammed together on deck or in the hold, with officers enjoying only marginally better accommodations. Privacy was non-existent. Personal hygiene became nearly impossible to maintain, leading to skin infections, lice, and other parasitic infestations. The constant humidity below decks created an environment where fungal infections thrived, affecting both the men and their precious food stores. Disease was a constant companion. Beyond scurvy, the crew faced dysentery from contaminated water, tropical infections picked up during landfalls, and various nutritional deficiencies that weakened their immune systems. Medical treatment was primitive, relying on bloodletting and herbal remedies that often did more harm than good. The ship's surgeon, working with limited supplies and knowledge, faced a never-ending battle against the deteriorating health of the crew. The mental toll was perhaps even greater than the physical challenges. Months at sea, with no sight of land, tested the sanity of even the most hardened sailors. The monotony was broken only by the terror of storms or the threat of mutiny. Men watched their companions sicken and die, knowing they could be next. The uncertainty of their fate, whether they would find their intended passage or join the countless lost expeditions, created a constant psychological burden that weighed on every member of the crew. This harsh environment forged an extraordinary resilience among those who survived. Every day aboard Magellan's fleet was a testament to human endurance and the price men were willing to pay in their quest to push the boundaries of known world. The expedition's story unfolds like a classical epic, beginning with the meticulous preparation in Seville. Through late summer of 1519, the harbour bustled with activity as 5 ships were outfitted for the unprecedented voyage. Each vessel had to be carefully prepared, from the strengthening of hulls to the strategic loading of provisions that needed to last for years. The political manoeuvring was equally intense, with Magellan facing opposition from both Spanish nobles who resented a Portuguese commander and Portuguese agents who viewed him as a traitor. The Atlantic crossing marked the first great test. While this was familiar territory for European sailors, the fleet deliberately sailed unusual routes, pushing far down the African coast. This strategy soon sparked the first of several mutinies, as Spanish captains questioned Magellan's leadership and true motives. The growing tension erupted into open rebellion, requiring Magellan to demonstrate both diplomatic skill and ruthless determination to maintain control of his expedition. The discovery of the strait that would later bear Magellan's name proved to be one of the voyage's most dramatic chapters. After weeks of methodically exploring the South American coastline, the fleet finally found the elusive passage in October 1520. The celebration was short-lived, however, as they faced the harrowing challenge of navigating this treacherous waterway. The San Antonio, their largest supply ship, deserted during this phase, turning back to Spain and taking precious provisions with it. The Pacific crossing became the journey's most grueling segment. What Magellan expected to be a relatively short sail turned into a 3-month ordeal across the world's largest ocean. The crew faced starvation, with men reduced to eating leather and sawdust. Scurvy ravaged the ships, and the endless horizon of empty ocean tested the sanity of even the most seasoned sailors. The few island encounters during this phase brought little relief, as most were uninhabited. Magellan's death in the Philippines stands as one of history's great ironies. After surviving the world's most dangerous seas, he fell in a needless battle on Mactan Island, choosing to involve himself in local politics and demonstrating fatal overconfidence in European military superiority. His death on April 27, 1521, marked a crucial turning point in the expedition. The completion of the journey under Juan Sebastián Elcano represents both triumph and transformation. The surviving crew, now aboard only the Victoria, had to navigate through Portuguese-controlled waters, risking capture while racing against dwindling supplies. Their eventual return to Seville in September 1522 brought glory, but also difficult questions about the expedition's high human cost. Throughout the journey, several persistent conflicts created ongoing tension. The constant threat of mutiny reflected deep divisions within the crew, particularly between Portuguese and Spanish factions. These internal struggles were complicated by the regular challenges of navigation in unknown waters, where every decision could mean the difference between survival and disaster. Encounters with indigenous peoples ranged from peaceful trading to violent confrontation. The expedition's experiences with different cultures highlighted both the possibility of mutual benefit and the tragic consequences of misunderstanding and arrogance. Some native peoples provided crucial assistance with supplies and navigation, while others, like those at Mactan, dealt the expedition its heaviest blow. The technical challenges of navigation pushed the limits of 16th-century technology. The fleet faced the constant dangers of uncharted reefs, unpredictable weather, and the deterioration of their vessels. Each new body of water presented unique challenges, from the freezing storms of the Strait to the doldrums of the Pacific. Behind all these immediate challenges loomed the larger political conflict between Spain and Portugal. The expedition operated in the shadow of the Treaty of Tordesillas, which had divided the world between these two powers. Every discovery raised new questions about territorial rights, and the survivors had to carefully navigate these political waters, even as they sailed the physical ones. This complex web of challenges and conflicts transformed what began as a commercial venture into one of history's greatest epics of human endurance and achievement. Out of 237 men who departed Seville, only 18 would return 3 years later, having completed the first circumnavigation of the globe and forever changing our understanding of the world. The most invaluable primary source from the voyage is the detailed chronicle kept by Antonio Pigafetta, a Venetian scholar and adventurer who signed on as Magellan's assistant and the expedition's official chronicler. His account, First Voyage Around the World, provides an extraordinarily detailed first-hand narrative of the entire journey. Pigafetta's journal stands out not only for its comprehensive coverage, but also for its keen observations of navigation techniques, indigenous peoples, local flora and fauna, and the daily challenges faced by the crew. His meticulous descriptions of previously unknown species, customs, and languages have proven invaluable to historians and scientists alike. The Spanish Crown's official records offer another crucial layer of documentation. The Casa de Contratación in Seville maintained extensive records of the expedition's preparation, including detailed inventories of supplies, crew manifests, and financial accounts. These documents reveal fascinating details about the expedition's logistics, from the types of trade goods carried to the exact quantities of provisions loaded onto each ship. Payment records and contracts provide insights into the social hierarchy aboard the vessels and the various specialists recruited for the journey. Maritime documents from the voyage offer technical insights into 16th century navigation. The expedition's charts, rutters, navigation guides, and astronomical tables demonstrate the state of navigational science at the time. Particularly significant are the detailed maps created during the voyage, showing how European understanding of global geography evolved as the expedition made its discoveries. Letters written by various crew members, including those who deserted in the San Antonio, provide alternative perspectives on key events and decisions. Archaeological evidence has greatly enhanced our understanding of the expedition. Several shipwrecks believed to be associated with Magellan's fleet have been discovered and studied. Marine archaeologists have recovered artifacts ranging from navigational instruments to personal belongings, each providing tangible connections to the journey. The Victoria, while not preserved, has been extensively studied through contemporary accounts, allowing modern shipwrights to create highly accurate replicas. The historical accuracy of these replicas is particularly important. Modern reconstructions of the Trinidad and Victoria have been built using traditional 16th century shipbuilding techniques, providing valuable insights into the vessel's capabilities and limitations. These replicas have even recreated portions of the original route, helping historians understand the practical challenges faced by Magellan's crew. Original maps from the period, including those updated with information from the expedition, are preserved in various European archives. These cartographic treasures show how the voyage dramatically changed European understanding of global geography. Particularly significant are the maps showing the Strait of Magellan and the Pacific Ocean, areas that had never been accurately depicted before. Material artifacts recovered from various sites also help tell the story. Archaeological excavations in the Philippines have unearthed items believed to be from Magellan's fatal encounter on Mactan Island. In South America, indigenous artifacts from the period help verify accounts of interactions between the expedition and local peoples. Of particular interest are the astronomical and navigational instruments of the period that have survived. Examples of astrolabes, quadrants, and compasses, similar to those used by Magellan's pilots, provide insights into the technical challenges of navigation. These instruments, combined with surviving rutters and charts, allow modern scholars to understand the remarkable achievements of these early navigators. The collective body of evidence, from Pigafetta's vivid descriptions to recovered artifacts and replicated ships, creates a remarkably complete picture of this historic voyage. Together, these sources allow historians to verify accounts against each other, separate fact from embellishment, and understand both the technical and human aspects of this unprecedented achievement in maritime history. Modern scholars continue to discover new documents and artifacts, gradually filling in gaps in our understanding of this pivotal journey that marked the beginning of the true age of global exploration. The successful circumnavigation of the globe by Magellan's expedition fundamentally transformed human understanding of our world and sparked changes that continue to resonate today. The journey's completion represented humanity's first empirical proof that the Earth was indeed round and could be circumnavigated. While educated Europeans had long accepted the theory of Earth's spherical shape, This practical demonstration had far-reaching implications for navigation, trade, and human knowledge. The expedition's cartographic contributions were revolutionary. The discovery of the Pacific Ocean's vast expanse, far larger than anyone had imagined, completely altered European understanding of global geography. The mapping of the Strait of Magellan provided the first known passage between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, though its treacherous nature would limit its practical use. The expedition also demonstrated that the Americas were a completely separate continent from Asia, ending speculation about a direct Western connection to the Asian mainland. In terms of global commerce, the expedition initiated the first truly worldwide trading networks. By proving the possibility of circumnavigation, it opened the door for regular trade routes connecting Europe, the Americas, Asia, and the Pacific Islands. This led to the establishment of the Manila Galleon trade route, which would operate for 250 years and become the first global commercial highway. The knowledge gained about wind patterns, currents, and seasonal weather variations proved invaluable for future maritime commerce. The economic implications were staggering. While the expedition itself returned with only a single ship loaded with spices, the cargo's value was sufficient to cover the entire expedition's cost and generate a profit. This demonstration of potential returns sparked intense competition among European powers to establish their own direct trade routes to the Spice Islands, leading to the creation of various East India companies and the beginning of corporate international trade. Scientific knowledge advanced dramatically as a result of the voyage. Pigafetta's detailed descriptions of previously unknown plants, animals, and peoples provided Europe with its first accurate information about many Pacific regions. His linguistic studies, including vocabularies of various indigenous languages, became valuable resources for future explorers and traders. The expedition's astronomical observations helped improve navigation techniques and contributed to better understanding of global geography. The journey's impact on cross-cultural exchange was equally significant. The expedition established first contact between Europeans and numerous Pacific Island societies, leading to long-term cultural, religious, and economic interactions. These encounters, while often problematic, initiated enduring connections between previously isolated human populations and began the process of global cultural exchange that characterizes our modern world. Maritime technology and navigation techniques evolved rapidly in response to the expedition's experiences. The challenges faced during the journey led to improvements in ship design, navigation instruments, and methods for preventing and treating scurvy. The accurate calculation of longitude remained a problem, but the expedition's experiences contributed to understanding its importance and eventually solving this crucial navigation challenge. Perhaps most significantly, the expedition marked the beginning of truly global thinking. The realization that the world could be circumnavigated fundamentally changed how humans conceived of their planet. It demonstrated the interconnectedness of the world's oceans and established the foundation for viewing Earth as a single, navigable sphere, rather than a collection of isolated regions. The political ramifications were far-reaching. The expedition's success forced modifications to the Treaty of Tordesillas, which had divided the world between Spain and Portugal. The realization that ships could reach the East Indies by sailing west or east led to new diplomatic agreements and eventually contributed to the development of international maritime law. In terms of human achievement, the expedition set a new standard for what was possible. The survival and return of even a small portion of the original crew demonstrated both the extreme dangers and the achievability of global maritime travel. This inspired subsequent expeditions and established patterns of global exploration that would continue for centuries. The legacy of Magellan's expedition extends into the present day. Modern global trade routes, international maritime law, and our understanding of the Earth as a single interconnected system can all trace their origins to this remarkable journey. The expedition stands as a testament to human courage, determination, and the transformative power of exploration, marking the true beginning of our modern globalized world. The early 16th century represented a pivotal moment in human history, with Magellan's voyage occurring at the intersection of several transformative movements. The Renaissance was in full bloom, revolutionizing European thought and challenging medieval paradigms. This intellectual revolution was characterized by a renewed interest in classical learning, empirical observation, and the celebration of human achievement. The prevailing spirit of humanism encouraged exploration and discovery, viewing them as expressions of human potential rather than acts of divine providence. The European maritime expansion was driving unprecedented technological and social changes. Portuguese and Spanish explorations had already pushed the boundaries of known geography, with innovations in shipbuilding and navigation making longer voyages possible. The caravel and carrack designs represented the cutting edge of maritime technology, incorporating features from both Mediterranean and Northern European shipbuilding traditions. These vessels combined the ability to sail close to the wind with sufficient cargo capacity for long-distance voyages. Cartography underwent a revolutionary transformation during this period. The rediscovery of Ptolemy's geography in the 15th century had already sparked a revolution in map-making. The Portuguese school of cartography at Sagres, established by Henry the Navigator, was systematically collecting and analyzing navigation data from returning ships. Maps were becoming more accurate and detailed, though they still contained vast areas marked terra incognita. The development of the Portolan charts, with their innovative wind roses and distance scales, provided sailors with practical tools for navigation. Navigation technology was advancing rapidly. The widespread adoption of the magnetic compass, the development of better astronomical tables, and improvements in instruments like the quadrant and astrolabe made it possible to determine latitude with reasonable accuracy. However, the inability to accurately measure longitude remained a crucial limitation, forcing ships to rely on dead reckoning for east-west navigation. The economic context was equally important. The traditional overland trade routes to Asia, particularly the Silk Road, had become increasingly difficult and expensive due to the Ottoman Empire's control of key choke points. This created intense pressure to find alternative routes to the lucrative spice markets of Asia. The spice trade was enormously profitable. A single successful voyage could generate returns of several thousand%, making the high risks of exploration commercially justified. The political landscape was characterized by intense rivalry between Portugal and Spain, the two leading maritime powers of the age. The Treaty of Tordesillas had attempted to divide the world between them, but questions remained about where exactly the line of demarcation fell in the Far East. This uncertainty provided part of the motivation for Magellan's expedition, as Spain sought to prove that the Spice Islands fell within their hemisphere. Religious motivations also played a crucial role. The Catholic Church's mandate to spread Christianity provided moral justification for exploration and colonization. The concept of converting new peoples to Christianity was seen as a divine mission, though it often served as a cover for more worldly ambitions. The intellectual climate was marked by a fascinating tension between ancient wisdom and new discoveries. While respect for classical authorities remained strong, actual experience was increasingly challenging traditional beliefs. Sailors were returning with observations that contradicted established geographic theories, forcing scholars to revise their understanding of the world. Scientific understanding was advancing, though still limited by medieval concepts. The Ptolemaic view of the universe remained dominant, but practical experience was gradually accumulating evidence that would eventually overthrow it. Mathematics was becoming more sophisticated, with new techniques being developed for navigation and cartography. Urban centers, particularly in Spain and Portugal, were developing complex financial and commercial systems to support long-distance trade. Banks, insurance companies, and trading houses provided the financial infrastructure necessary for major expeditions. The concept of joint stock companies was emerging, allowing risk to be shared among multiple investors. The social structure was also evolving, with a new class of maritime entrepreneurs emerging alongside the traditional nobility. These practical men, often of humble origins, were rising to positions of importance based on their experience and abilities rather than birth. Magellan himself represented this new type of figure, a nobleman who had earned his position through practical experience rather than inheritance. This complex interplay of intellectual, technological, economic, and social factors created the conditions that made Magellan's expedition both possible and necessary. The voyage would, in turn, contribute to accelerating many of these trends, helping to create the modern world we know today. Consider this remarkable statistic. Out of 237 crew members who embarked on this historic journey, only 18 survived to complete the circumnavigation. This staggering mortality rate of over 92% underscores the extreme dangers and hardships faced by these brave explorers. Each survivor carried with them stories that would become legendary, their experiences shaping our understanding of human endurance and determination. The journey's duration of 3 years, from 1519 to 1522, represents an almost unimaginable commitment to exploration. During this time, the crew experienced every conceivable challenge, from violent storms and uncharted waters to starvation, disease, and hostile encounters. The length of their journey meant they witnessed 3 full cycles of seasons, celebrated 3 Christmases at sea, and watched over 1,000 sunsets from the decks of their wooden vessels. Perhaps one of the most ironic twists in this epic tale is Magellan's own fate. After successfully leading the expedition across the Pacific Ocean and navigating some of the world's most treacherous waters, he met his end in the Philippines during a relatively minor skirmish on Mactan Island. His death in battle against local warriors serves as a poignant reminder that even the most skilled navigator could fall victim to the complexities of cross-cultural encounters. The sheer distance covered by the expedition is mind-boggling, approximately 50,000 nautical miles. To put this in perspective, this distance is equivalent to circumnavigating the Earth twice at the equator. The fleet achieved this remarkable feat using only wind power and basic navigational tools, making their achievement even more extraordinary when compared to modern maritime capabilities. Less commonly known is that the expedition encountered phenomena never before documented by Europeans. They observed the Magellanic Clouds, 2 dwarf galaxies visible from the southern hemisphere, and became the first to note that different parts of the world experienced different seasons simultaneously. The crew also documented hundreds of new species, including penguins, which they initially described as black geese that had to be skinned rather than plucked. The psychological impact on the survivors was profound and lasting. Many returned with stories that seemed almost mythical to their contemporaries. Tales of giants in Patagonia, flying fish that could soar above the waves, and islands where the sun rose on the opposite horizon. These accounts, while sometimes embellished, contributed to a fundamental shift in how Europeans understood their world. The expedition's legacy extends far beyond its immediate achievements. It definitively proved that the oceans of the world were connected, revolutionizing maritime trade and exploration. The detailed charts and navigation logs produced during the journey remained valuable resources for subsequent expeditions for centuries. Even today, modern sailors following their route marvel at the accuracy of their observations and the resilience required to complete such a journey with 16th-century technology. Magellan's journey stands as a testament to human determination and the eternal drive to explore the unknown. It reminds us that every boundary we encounter is not a final limit, but rather an invitation to adventure. The same spirit that drove these explorers to push beyond the known world continues to inspire modern explorations, from deep-sea discoveries to space exploration. And so, as we conclude this extraordinary tale, remember that Magellan's legacy proves that limits exist only to be challenged and overcome. The horizons that seem impossible today may become tomorrow's well-traveled routes. Join us in celebrating this spirit of exploration by subscribing to Modern Age Chronicles, where we continue to bring history's greatest adventures to life. Ring the notification bell to ensure you don't miss our next journey through time, and share this video to inspire others with this remarkable story of human achievement. Together, let's keep the spirit of exploration alive as we continue to push the boundaries of what's possible.